Sustainable Urban Network.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining Sun. Happy Sun Saturday. Sustainable Urban Network wants to bring some sun rays your way. Today, we have a very special guest in the building, new author Kimora White. Her book is titled Girl, Get Your Together. I'm going to bring her on so she can let us know what you can expect. Kim, can you please give us a really brief summary of what we can expect today?
So today we can expect just talking about different things, how life knocks you off your feet, and it could be heartache, it can be your career setback, it could be financial struggles, but we just want to figure out how we're going to get back on track.
That's what's up. So thank you for letting us know what we're in treat of for today. It sounds like to me it's more of like a transformative concept of our lives, right? And like when your life takes
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that transformative pathway, and even when you're hit with those setbacks, that you feel like you're in the belly of the whale. And I'm so thankful to hear that you're going to give us some tools of how to get out of it. And it definitely reminds me of that Shiro hero's journey, and that hero's journey concept is from author Joseph Campbell. So I can't wait to get into it. So now we're going to have to level set the content that we're expected on Sustainable Urban Network, and we're going to share our sun enlightenments. Our sun enlightenments are inspired by our author Miguel Ruiz's four agreements. And our four sun enlightenments are: one, be responsible with your resources. Two, take the state of our social and climate justice seriously. Three, don't wait for others, do your part. And four, when you do, give your best effort and from a loving place. Now, before I officially introduce our guest today, I'm going to share a quote that really reflects today's show's content. And today's reflection is quote, and I state, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. And that's by our beloved Dr. Maya Angelou. Now we're going to get ready for our theme song because every good guest and every good topic.
Whatever you sow, you will reap. Get it together.
Hey, we're going to get it together. Thank you so much, creative director. We're going to talk about the work that he's doing a little later. But Kim, I want to
Yes,
ask you
ma'am.
right off the top, what inspired? Oh, I'm all ready to jump in.
Uh-uh.
Let me
Uh-uh.
introduce our guest, y'all. So, Kimora Kim White was born in Denver, Colorado, to my Uncle Ted and Aunt Glyda Stevens. Yes, I have to say that. Kim is a spirited author, speaker, entrepreneur, and realtor in beautiful Colorado. And Kim has a lover of fine wine and seasoned shopper. She adds her personal style and warmth to everything she does, and I can contest to that. She was probably born that way. With deep roots in our community out there in Denver, Colorado, Kim co-founded the Paramount Youth Organization dedicated to uplifting at-risk youth by promoting leadership, education, and well-being. Kim has a background in art, and she reflects her lifelong passion for creativity and performance. She studied dance at the prestigious California Institute of the Arts. Wow, very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
On a scholarship after training with the renowned Cleo Parker Robinson, Miss Let's
Yes.
Speak on It, dance company. While there, she majored in dance and minored in, let me see, in production. So Kim has
Mm-hmm.
made a lasting impact on the community in Denver, Colorado, co-founding the SK System Dance Troupe and lending her organizational talents to events through G. Ross's events and weddings. Oh, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some of those productions.
Right. Oh,
She's also actively support youth sports, managing clinics presented by with the
Phenom Factory. Right.
Kim believes in giving back and fostering resilience and strength. And so she definitely lives there in Colorado and her journey and involvement. And she enjoys life and cherishing things, and she definitely loves to have a good time.
That's
Welcome.
right.
Mel-
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So now, real quick, what inspired you to write? You are our first author, by the
Oh
way.
my gosh. Yes. So I've been wanting to write for like years, and I started writing like about 15 years ago and just never really published. And talking to people, they're always saying, you should publish that. You should publish that. So yeah, I finally made it to getting published. And crazy thing is the book was published on December 25th. So Christmas Day is
You talking
when,
about a
right.
24?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So then I don't know
So
when
that
you,
was my Christmas present.
yes, that is so awesome. So I'm not sure, but I don't know when you shared that news with me, but I know I bought it like immediately. Like I'm about to cop this.
Yeah, it was probably like a few days after that, probably a week or so after that, because the holidays had me going. So it was just kind of like making sure I was taking care of the family as usual. And then once all that was done, I was like, all right, I got to get this out there for a little bit. So
Okay. And then I'm going to ask, how did you come up with the title of Girl, Get Your Stuff Together?
right. So when I was going through, and you come to a realization that either it's time to get it together or you just going to continue to sink. And
Mm.
I just remember in my
So
brain saying to
what's,
myself, girl, get your shit together.
yeah, but
It was
hold
just like,
on. You said either you gonna have to make a change or continue to sink.
yes.
That's deep. That's
When
profound.
you don't think about saying, okay, something's got to change. And when you are in a situation where things are just, a lot of times you're spiraling out of control. When you stressed out, you're under anxiety, you don't know what's happening, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to make of things. And my brain really just kind of stopped and said, hold on, what are you doing? You better than this.
Mhm.
You stronger than this.
Come on now.
So, girl, it's time to get your shit together. And we need to hurry up and do this. Or you continue to spiral, you continue to sink, and
Mm.
then you become you live in woe is me. We can't live in a place of woe is me, because guess what? Don't nobody care.
Yeah,
Honestly, nobody cares.
right. So you say we can't live
So
in the space of woe is me. And
mhm.
tell me what you mean by that woe is me. I think we all understand what you mean, but
So woe is me is I'm always feeling sorry for myself. And oh well, this is my life. My life sucks. I'm always gonna be like this. And oh well, don't nobody care. You're right, nobody cares but you. And if you don't care about yourself, then you're gonna be stuck.
come on now.
So start caring about yourself first. Stop. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people, and we as women, we get stuck in that because we take care of everybody else first,
Mhm.
and we forget about taking care of ourselves.
Mhm.
And then we want to lash out and we want to be mad at somebody, and we no, be mad at yourself because you allowed this.
Mhm.
Nobody is at fault but you. You
Mm.
did this to yourself
Mhm. I
because
appreciate.
you allowed everybody else to go on out there and say, I need this, I need you to do this, I need this, I need you to do this, and how come you ain't this, and why this wasn't done, and this. Hold on, wait a minute, look here, there's somebody else in this equation, and that is me, and I got to get me together.
I really appreciate what you stated because you put me back, I want to say in like 2000. I was
Mm,
I was still in my 20s and I recall having that epiphany, very similar to what you said. I said, what have I been doing all my life? All my life from minor, from childhood, from household,
right.
growing up, I put everybody's needs before mine. My parents, my brother, my child, everybody's need came before mine. And I looked at it as a stove. Everybody's pot was in the front. My pot was all the way in the back.
Right.
And I was tending and seasoning and adding stuff to everybody else's pot
Yeah.
but mine. And then and so that's when I realized for the first time, wow, I'm codependent. I was codependent.
Yeah.
And I said, uh-uh. So
Mhm.
that's when I made a change. I said, let me put this pot in front of the stove and start adding ingredients to myself.
Right.
Back to school, just you know what I'm saying? So now let's talk about
Yes, ma'am.
so one of the beginning
Okay.
part of your book, which I love, you talk about, see if I can get it up here,
Uh,
is probably can't see it, but it says
uh,
define your shit.
uh, that's right. And you have to, because, and here's the thing, like all of us have something. It
Mhm.
might not be the same thing, but we all have something, right? And either we do one or two things. Either we whine and cry about it, or we pull it out and we say, okay, I need to fix it. So here's the thing: stop whining and crying about it. We're gonna fix it. And whatever it is, first of all, you have to define it, because sometimes it might not be what the surface is. It might be a little deeper.
Mhm.
Okay. So sometimes we just have to dig deep and say, what's the problem?
So that's what you're saying. Define is when you
Define it. Figure out what it really is and say, okay, you know, and I gotta dig deep just to find out that maybe that it's not the shoe that I don't like the shoe. Maybe it's just that the shoe don't fit.
Mhm.
You know, I like the shoe and it hurts. I love the shoe, but the shoe don't fit.
Mm.
So now we got to fix that, right? So when you fix that, it corrects the rest of the problem, right? Now it feels good, it's comfortable, and we can keep on walking,
Walk and talk it out, huh?
right? So it's like sometimes you just have to sit back and say, okay, what is the real problem here? Tell me what is my real problem? And nobody knows that real problem but you. We
Mhm.
often we want to go and talk to somebody and let somebody else tell us what the problem is. No, they can tell us what they think the problem is, but only you know what the problem is. So dig deep, and if you gotta get a pencil and some paper, start writing, figure it out. But that's first step, is to define your shit. What is it? What is it? You know? That's all I got. I'm like, dang, you know? And like I say, it might be one thing, it might be five things. And that's the one thing about this book, that the way I wrote it is I don't want people to just use it one time, because next week you might have some different shit. Define that shit and let's go back through this and let's figure it out. Let's fix it. Right?
Get shows together, y'all.
Get it together. I mean, because unfortunately we all walking through something. It might be knee deep and it might be ankle deep. We don't know. But define it and get it together.
Could be waist deep too, huh?
Yeah, could be waist deep. Yeah, it might be up here. You
Girl,
may be all the way in it. But
right.
that's the thing. It's never too late. And if you think it's too late, then dig deeper. It's
Mhm.
never too late. And that's the one thing I really want people to know. It's never too late.
Yeah. That's really
I
encouraging.
mean, we
So
get,
what made
yeah.
so what made you
Go ahead.
describe it that way in your very natural vernacular? What made you have the courage to even say, you know what, I'm just gonna put it out there just like this. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, I'm not gonna dress it. This is exactly how
Well,
I'm gonna.
that's the whole thing, is I don't, that's the problem. We always sugarcoating stuff.
Mhm.
We don't need to sugarcoat it. Rip the band-aid off and see what's underneath there. It's like, come on now. Because as long as we sugarcoat it, we just put more sugar on top. A little powdered sugar, a little brown sugar, just keep putting it on top. Dust all that stuff off of there. So we need to make sure that when we are trying to figure out what's wrong, we dig deep. And
Mhm.
like I never will forget, I was listening to, I don't, I want to say maybe was it Bob Proctor, but the question was why. And so it wasn't even, like just trying to, you know, number one, define my shit. And the question is why do you want to do this? But the question continued to be why. So it's like, I want to do this because X, but why? I want to do this because Z, but why? I want to do this because, so it was like almost like six questions deep. Did you really figure out what your underlying why was? So when you're doing this, you need to really like just like I say, just dig deep and be honest with yourself, you know? And honestly, for me, I was so when I started going through like my issues, I was so messed up for me because I knew I was doing everything else for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
When I would want to break down and say, I have a problem right now, I got an issue, and this is my issue. It was like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Shake it off, shake it off. But I didn't want to shake it off. I needed to deal with it, you know? And nobody wanted me to. That was the crazy thing. And I feel like they felt like that if I did, then I wouldn't have nothing left for them.
Mm. Girl, that's
So I was like, right. So it was like, no, I need to deal with this. Let me deal with this. Let me cry. Let me break down. Let me do this. I know my shoulders are strong because all y'all standing on them, but I need to do this. I need to break down. I needed to do it. And then because it was a release and I needed to do it in order for me to heal, I needed to release it.
so it's like that breakdown was your breakthrough.
Yes, definitely.
Hmm.
And in my brain, I knew I needed to do that. But also, I had all the chatters like, you good, stay strong. You good. I know I'm strong, but something is broken and I need to let it heal. In order for me to do that, I need to release this. Let me release it.
Mm.
And the crazy thing was, is I was looking for that release to happen from other people. And I realized I was like, I don't need anybody else to release. All I needed was my own confirmation. And that's what we forget to do is we forget to give ourselves our own confirmation.
You're looking
We
for it.
forget. We're like, right, we want everybody else on the outside to say it's okay. But when nobody says that, we only doing what everybody else wants us to do. No, I have to figure that out for myself. This is my problem, and let me break down.
Mhm.
Once I do that, I'm going to be okay. Because now that I've broken down and I figured it out and I'm all right with it and I'm vulnerable with it, I can now come back and fix it.
Right. So would you say that that was like an like initiated, originated space for you to start that healing, mending journey for
Yes.
yourself? It's like you needed to like
Yes.
down in order for you to like break through on the other side to start healing.
Definitely. Definitely. I needed that.
So
And
can
it was just for me, it was a time and a space in which I there was a lot going on and there was a lot going on in everybody's life and me trying to be there for everybody.
now you listed some things in your book, and I'll just be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. And I know that
Yeah.
happens on a regular basis. Are there any examples of the challenges and struggles that had you finally reach that pinnacle that you needed to break down, that you wanted to share with your hopefully future readership of your book?
Yeah. So for me,
Hmm.
that breakdown came. So like there's things in there like we went through two businesses. my mom's illness and then losing her
Mhm.
and having to move out of, my big 6,000 square foot home into, a 2,000 square foot home. And at that point in time, it was just like, things were crazy. And I think for a lot of people who don't know, when you go from you go from rags to riches back to rags, that really messes with you.
Mm.
So all this compounded together, I was like, wow. I was like, okay. But in my growing up, my mom always instilled in me that, God never puts nothing on you, no more on you than you can handle.
Mhm.
And, through it, I'm saying, God, what is this? And then there was always, everything happens for a reason. So I had to turn my thinking around because once again, you're thinking it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, yes. Oh my God, he has something else in store for you. So let go of all that old crap and let him start working on the new stuff. For me, it was, like I say, once again, losing everything and then having to come back and say, okay, I've got to get a job. I ain't worked for nobody in what, 15 years. I've been working for myself. I now had to get a job. But guess what? Maybe it was because I now needed to understand the workmanship behind that. God had a reason for that. Maybe I needed to be a little more physically active than what I needed to be or what I was. There was a reason why I had to step into a warehouse at 8:52 at night and not get home until 5 o'clock in the morning. There was a reason for that, but I embraced it. I had to adapt to it and I had to move on because now, not only did that say to me, it's like, hey, all right, you got this little job here, and all right, cool, you working overnights. I had to figure out this not for me. It put me back in the workforce, though, is what it did. And sometimes some people go from, owning businesses, and when they lose those, they don't understand how to get back in the workforce. They don't know how to do that. So it put me back in the workforce. I continued in the workforce and I, got out of there, went into, fraud prevention, got out of that, went into back into banking, back to my roots. That's where I started. I went back to banking. And from there, it gave me a chance to say, okay, what do I really want to do? What am I going to do with my life? And I continued. Crazy thing is, I got to a point where I started aging out
What do you mean by that?
because I'm over 50 at this point, right? Girl, at the age of 50, it was like nobody wanted to hire me.
Or even before?
Nobody. I'm like, I got
I didn't
all
even
these
realize
skills.
I didn't even realize that was a real thing until I
I,
realized it was a real thing.
oh yeah, it's a real thing.
Like
So
I told you, I
it
didn't realize
has
it was a
been
real thing until I realized it was.
until it happens. Until it happens, yeah. And here's the crazy thing is it made me realize I was actually 50. I didn't know how old I was
Right, because
until I was like, oh, you old. Right. We don't think that.
right.
But I'm like, okay. Right. I'm like, all right, so this what y'all doing? I was like, well, let me show you what I'm about to do. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get my real estate license. I'm gonna start my own business because you don't want me. Guess what? Somebody else needs me,
Mm, that's a good one. If
and
you
I'm
don't,
gonna do it on my
someone
own.
else needs me.
Right? Somebody else needs me, and that's the thing that it's like we allow society to knock us down, and that's okay. Fall down, brush off your knees, dust off your shoulders, get on back up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, we have to. We have to. Otherwise than that, where are we? What happens when we don't? What happens when we don't get back up? What do we do?
Would you said if you don't get back up, you continue to sink, being that sunk.
Exactly. That's what I'm asking you. Yes, you just gonna keep sinking.
Mm,
And some people sink like quicksand.
mm.
But we have to be mindful of it first of all. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people will tell us, and sometimes people don't like to hear what somebody got to say. And there's two reasons for that. Some people don't always have good things to say. But when somebody's trying to tell you, look, it's time for you to get back on the saddle, you know, it takes a different kind of mind to say, you know what, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
not everybody has that mindset. So this is where you want to start looking and saying, okay, how do I get there?
yeah, so then when you talk about how do you get there, I think that's a great segue on something I read in your book
Mm-hmm.
that explain to us what is purposeful days and how can we identify
Mm,
experiencing
mm.
purposeful days.
Purposeful days, yes. I've had many
Resonated with you.
non-purposeful days,
Would
yes.
you say?
And that's the reason why, because I have many non-purposeful days because and that's okay because sometimes you need that break. So a purposeful day means do something purposeful towards your goal,
Mm. Mm.
towards your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Make it purposeful. Make it so don't just get up and say, "Oh, I need to go to the grocery store and then I'm gonna come home and then I'm just gonna be here." Take at least maybe 1 hour out of the day. What what is gonna make your goal come to life? What makes your dreams come to life? Find one thing that even if you don't want to do nothing else that day, make it a purposeful day by taking one thing and saying, "Oh, maybe I need to call down and figure out how to get this sales license."
Mm-hmm.
Mm, mm-hmm. Or maybe I need to call the attorney to see how they are going to make sure my business is set up properly. Just one thing. You don't have to make a whole day out of it because sometimes we need a mental break. But have purposeful days. Make sure it is going somewhere. But then there's like your non-purposeful days. And sometimes those can be purposeful because when we get up, there are days like we used to have something like what we call a bike roll. You would get up early that morning, knowing I didn't want to get up early in the morning or ride a bike. But I'm gonna get on this bike because there's a group of people, supportive people with me who support my goals and my dreams. But we go out for that day. We ride around the city. We stop at all the bars downtown. We stop at the restaurants. We breakfast and lunch, and sometimes it's during a Taste of Colorado, or sometimes somebody's having a white party, and we all show up in all of our biker gear. But the purpose of that, though, was that mental break and to have a good time, remembering to have a good time, right? So we don't want to stop doing that. Always have a good time. Because what's the point of life if you ain't enjoying it?
Mhm. And I'm so glad you shared that. I was just sharing with a friend of mine recently how I think I was in my 30s when I realized that I like really didn't have like a fun outlet, right? And
Oh,
how
okay.
much fun, just
Yeah.
definitely adds that element in your life that I think helps just that overall blend of how things, of everything
Mm-hmm.
you have to do. So I started, girl, I love me some dancing too, right?
Okay.
So I started line dancing. And so for me, line
Yes.
dancing was it was fun, it was exercise, and it was social. So it was a trifecta.
Mm-hmm.
That's like with bike riding. So me and O, when we was out there, we used to, ride our bike too around like, Cherry Creek,
Right. So get on the bike and just ride.
Those endorphins starts releasing and you feel good. And so like you
Mm-hmm.
said, mentally decompress, it's exercise. And if you do it with someone, it could be social, or if you're not doing it with,
Yeah,
it could be your own me time. So
definitely.
yeah, I definitely strongly advocate, along with you about having fun. Like even just
Yeah,
no other purpose but just fun.
yeah. But that is the purpose, is to have fun, right? So we need to look at our life as being number one, purposeful.
Mhm.
What is my purpose? What is the goal? What is the dream? What are we doing?
So then can you help peel back some, right? Because we're peeling things
Okay.
of how someone can start peeling things back as they want to start identifying purpose, and because they want like, oh, purposeful days, that sounds great, but if I don't know what my purpose is, how can I shape that into a purposeful day?
Yes.
Because I'm not able to identify what my purpose is there something that you can share as a tool that someone can try to apply as they start really engaging and wanting to identify some of their purpose?
Yeah. So sometimes finding your purpose might be is just one, finding a passion.
Mhm.
Um, what are you passionate about? What do you like to do? What if you wasn't making a penny, what would you do every day just to do it because you love to do it? And for some people, I hear a lot of people say they love to go and, work with kids. So maybe that's your purpose. Your purpose is to make sure that, kids have, coats, they have toys, they have educational tools, or they just have somebody that they can talk to, somebody that they can lean on. Maybe that's your purpose. And a lot of times, passion and purpose go hand in hand because it's easier to fulfill a purpose when you're passionate about it. For me, like with real estate, like I am passionate about helping people. My last customer or client is what I call them. They were basically homeless. Um, and once we were able to, me and Lou worked with them. Once we were able to get their credit together and they had the income, just some underlying circumstances and some background issues happened, um, which caused them to become homeless. But they were homeless for almost 2 years. But to
Mhm.
get them into a home, that was awesome for me.
That is
That was awesome.
amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing, amazing.
Right. So that to me touched me. So I was just like, oh my God, I love you guys. So
Yeah, that is definitely fulfilling. Absolutely.
mhm.
Okay. So I'm just curious of if you can talk to us about the process of you even just cultivating the courage to be so open, vulnerable, and sharing
Oh,
hard times. And like some people describe it, like I had a friend recently describe it as the belly of the whale. Some people feel like they're like lion, Daniel in the lion's den. Also, like with that hero's journey concept, is they call it like the dark seat of the soul, right? When you're,
right.
having so like in this book, and you guys should all go get it, is you describe, like I said, a lot of those losses, like you said, from like, workplace and just house and just all kinds of challenging things that just happen. You loss of your mom and Glenda, just so many things just compacted that does weigh on a person. Like you said, regardless
Hmm.
of how strong you are, eventually, right? I mean, everybody has
Right.
a threshold.
Right.
So what gave you the courage just to be open and sharing your story?
For me, even though she's not here, I drew on the strength of my mom.
Yeah.
Um, and also, in order to help somebody, I think they need to know that you've been through it too.
Mhm.
It's hard to say, well, you should do this and you should do that. Well, how are you gonna tell me when you ain't been through nothing? You know, that's kind of like telling, somebody that, someone never had kids trying to tell you how to raise O. right? You've
Right.
never had kids. You don't know what this feels like. Or you've never lost a job. You don't know what this feels like. You've never lost a house. You don't know what this feels like. So for me, and for a lot of people, I'm not gonna claim to know what everybody's feeling. Never, I'm never gonna do that because I don't know. Only you know.
Mhm.
But it's easier when someone says, dang, she's been through it. I can identify with that.
Right.
So it just, I don't know, it just, there was something that just said, tell your story. And it's not even the whole story. It's like maybe
A
a
quarter.
quarter of the story. Right.
Right.
So it's not even the whole story, but it's like tell your story. And to me, the story helps everybody else. And like you said, a lot of people don't know. Girl, I had a friend one time, she lost her son. I
Ooh,
don't know what that's like. I
right.
really don't know what that's like. And she lost her son right about the same time mom was sick.
Mhm.
During that time is when we had the bar, and I am there, like, I swear to God, 18, 19, 20 hours a day.
Mhm.
So trying to get out of there was crazy. And that was one of the things, like, with my partner, I was like, you don't understand. I was like, I need to be able to leave so I can go see my mom. So we had those conversations, had those arguments. Girl, when I say she told us that she was mad at us for not being there for her, and I said, hold on. I said, I could say the same thing to you. And I ran it all down to her. I lost this, I lost this, I lost this. Where were you? Where was your antennas at while you talking about I wasn't there for you? And she went back to, like, I think, like Chicago or somewhere.
Mhm.
So she didn't even bury him here. But because I was so tied down, I sent my condolences. That
Mhm.
was all I could do at that time.
Right. Your capacity within your
Right.
capacity. Mhm.
That was all I could do within my capacity. I can't drop everything and run to your side. And you sure as hell didn't,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Right. So now, since we're talking about, as far as being open about things, you also touch on the book about embracing your failures. Why do
Mm,
we should embrace our failures, right? Like that's
because,
one second.
oh, those,
Hold on, girl.
go, come
Oh,
on.
because that is literally a lot of times us just naturally, that's the last thing that people want to do, right? So
Mm.
take it away, like embracing your failure. So that's something else you'll find in girl.
Oh my gosh, yes. So embracing your failures, that is the biggest learning experience that we could ever have. For the simple fact that maybe you started out in something and for 2 years it was running great. And you might have hit a snag and all hell broke loose. Bottom falls out. But guess what you can do? Whatever was working great in the first 2 years, great, keep that. Whatever happened, take all that as a learning experience and say, what went wrong?
Mhm.
Okay, now that I know what went wrong, how do I fix it? And how do I make it better? We're always going to have failures, but we have to draw on them and we have to learn from them. As long as we continue to say, oh, that was a failure, I'm not going to do that no more. You never go back. And if it was a goal and if it was a dream, those dreams die
So you're
and you
saying,
just let go.
so like lessons learned, right? But
Yes,
embrace those.
embrace it
Mhm. 'Cause
because
that's
it's, if you run away from the failure, what do you get out of that? What do you get out of running from it?
I mean, and most people want to put so much distance, right, just naturally between them and whatever they failed at. But I think hearing you as an author, as a newfound author, and even others that I've, read and known, you're right.
Girl,
One of the first things they do, they tout their failures just as much as their successes, right? I felt at
you
this.
have to look at Walt Disney. How many times he fall?
Speak on it. And we can
But
even,
look where he is right now.
he talked about how many times he got cut. Like you could speak on that.
Right.
Yeah,
Speak on it.
right.
And it's like, just learn. Like, it's like, okay, so I turned the knob left and the door fell off. I won't do that no more. I'm gonna turn it right.
To make those
And the
pivots.
door opens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So
It's
now,
like a lock. When you turn it one way, it locks, door doesn't open. Turn it the other way. I failed the first time because it locked. I can't get out. Turn it the other way. Maybe I can get out. Door opens.
right. So
Look at it that way.
I also want to hear from you about being your whole self, like authentically. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the self-care we touched on a little bit, but if you want to go
Mm.
into that, but just that your authentic self and showing up, as your whole authentic self, what do you feel is like the power in that? And, and being more transparent with your story.
So you said it already. So it's the power in that is authenticity.
Mm.
Um, real recognize real,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't want to be in the presence of someone who is not unapologetically themselves because they're not bringing me the real them.
The failures, the heartache, the pain,
Right.
joys, the successes, like the whole
It
pack.
all that makes you who you are today.
Mhm.
Be open about it, be real about it. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time being open about it. I'm not saying that you got to just walk up to somebody and spill all your beans, but don't hide behind a shell either. Be you. You are who you are because of everything that has happened to you in your life. Accept it. Why are we pushing it under why are we pushing it under a carpet?
So, okay, but I want to dive a little, I want to peel this back some.
Yes.
Because like I have, like we all come from, our parents or whatever, right? So I have one
Right.
that was just like really transparent about everything. And I think I used to like pick up on that and do that. Well, child, look at here. When I came back to Cali, I realized that was not the thing to do. Okay.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying about that, but I also want to just peel this back just for other people as listeners, may have this, trying to get this balance because like Brene Brown, right? Dr. Brene Brown, she talks
Yes, I love her.
I do too, is that you give people enough information about you that has, earned the right to know. So I do,
Exactly.
I want you to try to like pair to with us the part of being authentic, being your,
Mm-hmm.
but also only sharing to the degree that you feel that person's is safe enough to share those details.
When you are your authentic self and you come to understand people, you know when you meet somebody who's real and who's not. Pick up on your gut feeling, number one, because your gut is going to tell you, yeah, they cool or no, they not.
Mhm.
And just their actions, their words. You can come across a fast talker and you can like, oh, you full of it. So we're not talking. I'm not giving you my full information. Only those, like you say, that we just need to, bond.
Mhm.
And you'll feel that. You'll feel that in their spirit. Spirits give off spirit, and you can feel it.
Discern it. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Okay, so give us some next steps. You have in your book too, you talk about next steps. If you can give us some information that you believe are some examples of some next steps that people can take in achieving the life they want to accomplish, their wildest dreams.
so yeah. So next steps really is like once you've kind of like completed, you don't have to complete everything in the book. There are going to be some things in the book you're like, yeah, that's not for me. But once you kind of completed those steps and you figured it out, now you kind of like put it into action. Um, and there are also some actionable items in here, but keep going. Don't let outside negativity inside. Um, there's one practice that I do when I hear, again, I'm a big fan of Bob Proctor too. Again, he says negativity. If you can recognize it, but 3 times say cancel, 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 and let that go. Because sometimes that negativity will creep into our mind. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I recognized you. I see you. I hear you. But now you're canceled.
Girl, that came from the word. That came from the word of God. Okay. Rebuke.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
I rebuke you. But yeah, so your next steps is just, to continue to move forward. If you find yourself in a place where you're stuck, come back. Come
Mhm.
back to the book. There's some actionable items in here that's going to help you, right? They're just going to be like there's a philosophy, was it Kaizen philosophy? Continue to improve, continuous improvement. Just keep going.
That's from organizational change development. I used to work in that space.
Yeah,
Consultant.
yeah,
I'm
yes.
very familiar with Kazan.
Continue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But a lot of people are not. But continue. Keep moving. Keep going forward. Don't, I mean, if you stumble backwards, that's fine. That's the one thing to know. It is okay when you stumble.
Okay, so I'm so glad that you shared that. Give us the title of your book. I want to hear from you.
Girl, get your shit together.
All right. So you guys, you heard it on Sun Sustainable Urban Network, new author Kimora White with her new book, Girl, Get Your Stuff Together. Hearing a lot more from Sustainable Urban Network. We also wanted to put in a plug for Elijah. He is the cast member on Two Ways on
I
Zeus
love it.
Work. So Sun and some of Sun's, um, yeah, some of us here on Suns are doing some other things as well. So definitely want to congratulate
Okay.
the crew. Um,
Let them know if they're looking to buy a house or sell a house, look me up.
And I just feel
yes.
like I can heal your heart and everything. You can help my
All
heart
right.
in
Thank you
some way.
guys for
Are you
joining
religious
Sun
and conservative?
Sustainable Urban Network.
Okay.
Right.
Absolutely conservative, but like I believe in God. I'm a Christian. I love that you mentioned.